to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes of October 15th, 2019.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. I'd also entertain a motion to approve the minutes of October 22nd, 2019.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to suspend the rules. Thank you. Motion is in order. We are going to suspend the rules tonight. We have two guests to present to the council this evening. Council Conti and I worked, primarily Council Conti, with Catherine Farrick to come give an update to the council, and this was the time that worked to do it. So, any questions or comments? Roll call vote will begin with Councilor Jackson.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Kovas.
Yes.
Vice President Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Delisio.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. We are now operating under suspended rules. Councilor Conti, would you like to invite your guests to the podium this evening? You may.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilors, the Economic Development Director and I, for several weeks, have been communicating back and forth on several projects that she's been working on. And her challenge is that what appears to be happening doesn't always happen, and suddenly something happens that you weren't even expecting. So the chaos in the scheduling has had us thinking that we would meet, and then not meet, and then meet and not meet, and meet and not meet. And then finally, a new liaison from the Massachusetts Development has been announced. And so we just took upon the opportunity to bring them here tonight because I'm sure you all want to meet George and hear what Catherine has been working on. So Catherine, please take the podium.
Thank you, Councilor Conti, and thank you all for having me tonight. My remarks are going to be pretty brief. You're going to see a lot of the projects and programs that I've been working towards roll through here by the end of the year. As you can see, I'm on my own timeline. I'm trying to get everything finished by February, when I'm going to have a kid come onto the scene somehow. But I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce George Durante, who's our fellow for the TDI initiative through Mass Development, transformative or transformational? Transformative Development Initiative. I always get that wrong. But in the interim, I just wanted to briefly touch on a few things that are going to be rolling down the pike to give you an opportunity to research those if you would like to. That way, if you have more technical questions, you can ask those when they come through to you formally. The first and most important piece, we were awarded a grant through Mass Development that you're going to be officially confirming probably at the next meeting. I think we sent down the communication a couple days ago. And this is for DIF technical assistance. The DIF program, District Improvement Financing, is similar to TIF in other states. It's what I'm familiar with. I've set one of these up in the past in another state. And it's similar to the TIF program in that you cap properties' assessed value before development activities take place. But instead of any kind of abatement on the new value of that property, you put that money into a special account that's designated for infrastructure improvements that benefit the entire DIF region. So we got a grant through Mass Development. It's a grant of services. No money goes through the city at all. They hire a consultant to kick the tires on this tool, see if it makes sense for us economically to do it. Goes through some of the cash flow projections for anything that we might decide to spend it on. There's some wastewater improvements that need to be made in our downtown. Parking is a challenge we hear about all the time. There can be programs with shared city programs that benefit businesses, things like facade improvement grants or signage programs to spruce up our downtown. There are a lot of different applications of this DIF financing. So is a program that I want to look into a little bit more carefully. The period of the grant services is going to start hopefully in January, so that'll be coming down the pike. Probably at the next meeting, it'll go to committee. The second thing that's coming up, we definitely have a deadline on. Before the end of January, we want to get a housing development incentive program approved for the city. You're probably going to get that towards the end of November or early December. We need to have a public meeting first to get some input as part of the state process for this. This is also a similar program to TIF. Rick knows a lot about this. You call it the tax increment exemption agreements. So it's a slightly different parlance. Those are what we can enter into under HDIP, but it's an incentive that's going to allow one of the developments that's coming through our city right now to actually reach fruition. The developer told us that he needed this probably about 5 or 6 months ago, so we've been working steadily towards it. The planning director, Gary Arasian, has been an amazing resource to me, drawing up all the maps that I need, coming up with all the background data and everything like that. So the HDIP is the second big piece. And the third one is going to be property assessed clean energy. I'm not going to get into that too much. It's a state program. The only city participation is we need to opt in. And there's a collection piece that rolls through the city because it's collected via special assessment on the income taxes. So we're still kicking the tires on that. We have some questions out to Mass Development that affect just the process of how things are administered through Attleboro's systems. But once we get those questions answered and resolved, it doesn't seem to be the kind of program that's going to put any undue strain on the city, and it can be a great resource for some of our local businesses. So those are the 3 big programs that are coming down very quickly. Hopefully I'll have a nice grant to announce in a couple months too, but that's pending, and for now I'm not going to get too into it because I don't want to get people excited before the money's in hand. So those are the major projects that we have, and tonight George is going to talk about the TDI program. This is a program that affects our downtown. It's a walkable district, and what this program provides us with is expertise. It provides us with certain studies and technical assistance programs. It also gives us an opportunity to compete for grant funding. So it's kind of a turnkey program, building partnerships in our city and giving us the tools that we need to really rebuild the downtown. All right, George?
Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine, and it's a pleasure to meet you, councilors, especially on election night. I appreciate you taking the time here to connect initially. So my name is George Durante, and I'm with Mass Development. Specifically, I'm with the Transformative Development Initiative, or TDI. And for those of you who aren't familiar with it, TDI was enacted by the state legislature in 2014 as really a place-based accelerator for gateway cities. And so at this point, since that time, we've worked in gateway cities across the Commonwealth, to enact this program. And the idea behind it is essentially we look at a very small geographic area, essentially a neighborhood, a 5-minute walking radius in many of these cities. And within that small walkable area, we try and put as many resources into it as possible and connect as many people as possible and start to get people rowing in the same direction, I think, for long-term gains in economic development and revitalization in the communities that we're working in. And so there's a couple of key components to each TDI district, one of them being a TDI partnership, which is a cross-sector partnership usually made up of private businesses, always representative of the city, typically an economic development director. Redevelopment authorities are usually at the table, colleges, things of that nature, and nonprofits. And then there's a fellow on the ground, like myself. So I served in Brockton as their TDI fellow for the past 3 years in my previous role. And then we also, as Catherine noted, we offer some technical assistance. We have a suite of house doctors and consultants that we're able to deploy at no charge to the city to help advance some of the initiatives. There is a finite timeline, typically with a TDI district. I would say they last for 2 to 4 years. And like I said, it's something that we've engaged in across the Commonwealth many times at this point. Attleboro is part of a new pilot program in TDI, and we're really trying to suss out a regional program. And so I've taken a role as the TDI Senior Regional Fellow, where I work in Brockton a couple days a week to try and secure some of the gains that we made over the past few years. And I also work in Attleboro here and Hyannis. And the idea behind that is to try and not only enhance regional connectivity between these places. I know there's a long distance between Hyannis, so we're seeing much more of that, I think, between Attleboro and Brockton at this stage in the game. But also just to see if we can do this with a lighter touch, giving a lot of the same resources that have been successful in the full-blown TDI districts, where they get a full-time fellow and access to some additional grants. So we're massaging this model at this point. But I'm pleased with the progress we're making. I'm pleased with the partnership that we have on the ground here. And I'm excited to meet many more stakeholders in the community as we kind of try and advance the revitalization of downtown here. And I will note that I think we're in the early stages of that revitalization and a prime time to really set the table and set the foundation for long-term growth here. There are a couple of key initiatives that the TDI partnership is kind of narrowed down that we want to focus on over the next 2 years, and that's how long I'll be engaged here. And one of those is to help strengthen the TDI partnership, right? So it kind of becomes this autonomous vehicle that can perpetuate the work beyond the 2 years. Two is to activate and reduce vacancies. Obviously, that's a problem in the downtown. So we really want to focus on some strategies, short and long term, to address that. We want to support small businesses that are here now and new ones that come in, as well as entrepreneurs and amenities. When I'm on the ground here talking to folks, businesses, residents, people are hungry for things to do, right? And we're obviously in a prime position down here in downtown Attleboro to, I think, facilitate that conversation. And the third thing is we really want to improve and enhance the public realm, right? And what I mean by that is, like Riverwalk Park, and really things that happen within that space that's open to the public, right? And those types of amenities that are going to drive foot traffic. And while we're doing all those things, really we're also going to be focusing on laying that foundation that Catherine mentioned, right? With tools like HDIP and DIF, right? Those, as we've seen in some other communities that are really kind of in similar positions as Attleboro, having trains and being well positioned for transit-oriented development, those types of tools end up being building blocks that really puts the city in the driver's seat as more private investment comes down the pike and rents start to increase to a point where you tend to attract a lot more developers. It's something that Brockton looked into, and they're actually doing very well from a real estate development perspective. So those are really kind of the key aspects. And the last point I want to touch on before I open it up for questions is the boundaries that we're operating in. It's most of downtown. We're looking at the TOD area, down by the bus station, where a significant amount of work's been done, down to Olive Street, past Canova and Pine Street, so we're looping up here, and over the rail bridge that goes over 123, down Sanford Street over to the library, and then wrapping around Riverbank Road. So it's a fairly sizable TDI district, relatively speaking, but we want to make sure that, one, we captured a lot of the great existing assets that are here, and also a lot of the redevelopment opportunities that exist for the future. So I'll open it up to questions.
Thank you. Councilor Conti.
So, George, mass development has played a very important role in the advancement of the downtown city of Attleboro. Frankly, we could not have accomplished anything that we've accomplished without mass development's help. It's been a huge shot in the arm. I am chairman of the Capital Improvement and City Development only for 2 months. God knows tonight whether or not I'll be here next term or not. But I'm interested in hearing you say what the Capital Improvements and City Development Committee and the Municipal Council as a whole can play in a role to help the city of Attleboro.
Yeah, and it's really, TDI is very nebulous in a lot of ways. Once we kind of set this work plan, and then it's about getting into the community and figure out who the champions are out there that really want to drive certain initiatives forward that help reinforce this work plan and this long-term vision that's beginning to take shape, right? And so what I found in my previous work in Brockton and also in some of the other communities I've worked professionally, it's almost on a project-by-project basis, right? And it really depends on who, what projects you as individual counselors and as a council as a whole and committees feel strongly about, right? And when I think when you get to a point where you feel passionate about it, or there's obviously a legislative piece in play, that's when we probably engage at our fullest. Never mind if there are projects that are happening within the downtown, precinct or district. Obviously there's full engagement with councilors at that point too.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councilor Dolan?
You had said it's a finite timeline of 2 to 4 years, and then you said 2 years. So what determines that timeline of your work?
Yeah, so there's an application process that communities have to go through to be awarded as a TDI district. And in this case, Attleboro was awarded a 2-year role as a regional TDI district.
And can that change at any point to become 4 years, or?
Yeah, and so we don't know at this point in time whether or not the program will extend beyond this. Holistically at Mass Development, I hope it does. I think it's a great program. It's having a great impact across the Commonwealth. If it does, I think this engagement with Attleboro right now as a regional district puts it in a great position to have a strong application in the future for a full-blown TDI district, which could mean another 2 years, 3 years, whatever it may be. But that period of time is identified at the time of application and approval by the Commonwealth.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Best of luck to all of you tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming, George.
So, there are no public hearings tonight, because we can't do that. We will go on to, to the reading of the mayor's communication. However, unless anyone objects, we're not gonna read the mayor's communication tonight. I'm just gonna assign them by number. So, listen up. Here we go. Still with us. Want me to just go right through them and assign it? Sounds good to me.
Yes, sure.
Thank you. So, dated November 5th, item number 1, Personnel and Human Services Committee. Item number 2, Personnel and Human Services Committee. Item number 3, Zoning and Land Use Committee. Item number 4, City Property and Claims Committee. Item number 5, City Property and Claims Committee. Item number 6, City Property and Claims Committee. Item number 7, City Property and Claims Committee. Item number 8, City Property and Claims Committee. And item number 9, Budget and Appropriations Committee. Please. And switch, moving right along to the other communications.
Okay, we have several tonight. The first one's a petition from residents of Commerce Way against the 35-mile-per-hour speed limit and requesting no trucking on Tiffany Street and Commerce Way.
Transportation and Traffic Committee, please, and the Traffic Study Commission as well for that.
Okay, the second one's a complaint from Doreen DeRoss against 100% Auto Wholesale, 21 Washington Street.
License Committee, please.
Okay, we also have a recommendation from the Planning Board stating the loan order for $734,000 to purchase Public Works vehicles and equipment is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan.
Public Works Committee, please.
We also have a recommendation from the Planning Board stating the loan order for $1,054,000 to purchase fire department vehicles and equipment is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan.
1 minute. I initially put Public Works, but it's Public Safety, Steve.
Okay,
That's in,
yeah, got it.
that's it, that loan order is in Public Safety Committee.
Okay, we received a letter from D.D. Chang to suggest alternative handling of the utility pole issues on Green Drive.
Capital Improvements and City Development, no, that's in Richard. the Green Drive issue is in your committee, right?
Yes.
So that'll go, I know it says zoning and land use, but we're gonna change that to capital improvements and city development.
Thank you.
We received a letter from Nova Farms Compliance Officer Julie Hall advising the suspension order instituted by the Cannabis Control Commission has been withdrawn.
That's FYI.
Okay, we also received the following 5 applications were received for automatic amusement devices.
License committee, please.
We received the following 24 applications were received for Class 2 renewals.
License committee, please.
The following 3 applications were received for Class 1 renewals.
License committee, please.
We received a Class 3 application from Marcus J. Vitale doing business as Greco's Auto at 83 Dickens Street.
License committee, please.
And we received a communication from resident Sarah Chorney requesting a study to address problems at Wall and South Main Street and the safety issues for pedestrians exiting the train station.
Thank you. Transportation traffic committee, please.
And that is all.
Thank you. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to go into committee of the whole.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
We're now in committee of the whole. The only person here is George. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion to arise.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving right along to, as soon as I can find it, committee reports, and starting with Council Jackson.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. From the docket reporting for Public Works Committee, from the docket of October 22nd, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor that this honorable body appropriate $75,500 from account 1000-359000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to fund 3548 Finberg Field for the front parking lot repaving, the final phase of the DEP mandated remediation project. Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any comments, Council Jackson?
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Council Teresa for bringing this out last week while in my absence. I know Recreation Director Dennis Walsh had asked that it come out as soon as possible because he would like to get this completed within this year.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Council Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you ever so kindly. I have no further business this evening. Wish you all the best this evening. And I call for a committee meeting at the appropriate time next week.
Thank you. Council Waterman.
Personnel and Human Services Committee does not have any business this evening. We will have our next meeting next week.
Thank you. Council Conti.
Thank you, Mr. President. Reporting for capital improvement and city development. I have one item to bring before the council this evening from the docket of October 22nd, 2019. I move to approve the following. The mayor has established a new reserve fund for capital in the citywide section of the fiscal year 2020 general government budget, and is hereby requesting that your honorable body appropriate $500,000 into this new account. Therefore, the mayor hereby requests your honorable body to appropriate $500,000 from account 100-35900 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 1124100057838 citywide reserve fund for capital.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any comments, Council Conti?
Can I just say yippee?
That's a perfect comment.
And that concludes my comments.
Great. Thank you. Any other comment? Seeing none, this requires a roll call vote, and we'll begin with Council Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yippee.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes the business of capital improvements and development committee as bring before the council this evening. We look forward to our committee meeting next week.
Perfect. Thank you. Council Cobus.
The Zoning and Land Use Committee doesn't have any business tonight, but I do want to mention to Councilor Holmes that I'll be away on business next week, so if you can drive the committee meeting, and so I call for a committee meeting next week at the appropriate time.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
President Parika.
Thank you very much, President Cooper. Transportation and Traffic doesn't have any business this evening, and I call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Perfect. Counselor Delicio.
Thank you. Reporting for budget and appropriations from the docket of October 22nd, 2019. I move to approve the requests of the mayor to rescind vote number 11 from May 21st, 2019, replace with a vote to raise and appropriate in fiscal year 2020 $200,000 to account citywide contribution to Special Education Stabilization Fund.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any comments, Counselor Delicio?
We discussed this. Deb sent down a memo. We discussed this in length at the last committee meeting. It's basically bookkeeping to get what we need in terms of this Special Education Stabilization Fund up and ready for tax recap.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required and begin with Counselor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of October 22nd, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor for a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $278,771 to account Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer. Said amount represents the additional monies from new growth certified by the Department of Revenue Division of Local Services for fiscal 2020.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any comments, Counselor Delicio?
Again, we went over this 2 weeks ago, but long and short of it, this is just additional money that came in once the free cash was, once the new growth was certified by DOR.
Perfect. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required and begin with Counselor Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of October 22nd, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor to appropriate $300,000 from account undesignated fund balance free cash, general government, to account citywide stabilization fund in keeping with the cash reserve policy of years past.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any comments?
Glad to see that we're still in a position where we can continue to grow our cash reserve, so this is a good thing.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required and begin with Counselor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Finally, from the docket of October 22nd, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor to appropriate $15,000 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account personnel OPEB.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any comments?
None.
Any questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required and begin with Counselor Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Conti?
Yes.
Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. That is all the business for budget appropriations, but I do want to mention next week we will be having a committee meeting focusing on the tax classification, and then we will be having the vote that night, I believe.
That's right.
Okay, so just want people to be prepared for that. I am meeting with the auditor and the assessor tomorrow to just kind of get some more information so we can have the most robust discussion next Tuesday.
Perfect.
That being said, I'd like to call for a committee meeting next Tuesday at the appropriate time.
Great. Counselor Dolan.
Reporting for Licenses Committee, I have 9 items from the docket of October 1st, 2019. I move to approve the application from Azra Kadir of Lexington, Mass. For a Class 2 license for 97 Emery Street, LLC, to buy and sell secondhand motor vehicles with 5 customer parking spaces and 12 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any comments?
No comments, we discussed in committee.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of October 22nd, 2019, I move to approve the Class 2 application from Michael Meyer of 8 Rathburn Willard Drive, Attleboro, for Bristol County Auto Sales, LLC, at 227 Pine Street with 10 customer parking spaces and 10 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any questions or comments?
None.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, a voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of October 22nd, 2019, I move to approve the Class 1 application from Paul J. Lyons, 118 Common Street, Walpole, for Just Trailers, Inc. at 1863 County Street, Attleboro, with 12 customer parking spaces and 7 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments?
None.
Any questions from the council? Seeing none, voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of October 22nd, 2019, I move to approve the Class 2 application from Jonathan Johnson, 653 Reed Street, Attleboro, for Blue and White Motors, Inc. at 1815 County Street, with 4 customer parking spaces and 15 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any comments?
None.
Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of October 22nd, 2019, I move to approve the Class 2 application from Gerald Arata Jr. of Oak Hill Avenue, Seekonk, for C&A Millennium Motors, Inc., 1834 County Street, South Attleboro, with 10 customer parking spaces and 8 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any comments?
None.
Any additional questions or comments? Voice vote is required. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of October 22nd, 2019, I move to approve the Class 2 application from Carl Kazen Senior, 6 Ash Street, Rehoboth, for North Main Street Auto at 44 North Main Street, with 17 customer parking spaces and 1 display space.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments?
None.
Any questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, a voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of October 22nd, 2019, I move to approve the Class 2 application from M&J Youssef of 22 George Street, Rear, North Attleboro, for Gas Plus at 80 Pleasant Street, with 10 customer parking spaces and 24 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any comments?
None.
Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of October 22nd, 2019, I move to approve the automatic amusement device license for South Attleboro Post 312, Inc. at 437 Newport Avenue for a pool table and a jukebox.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any comments?
None.
Any questions or comments? Voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
And finally, from the docket of October 22nd, 2019, I move to approve the permit from the American Legion Post 312 of South Attleboro to solicit donations for their annual Poppy Drive on Saturday, November 9th, at various locations throughout South Attleboro. The rain date is November 16th.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any questions or comments?
None.
Any comments from the council? Seeing none, voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
And that's all the business for the License Committee, and I'd like to call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Perfect. Counselor Holmes.
Thank you. No business this evening for ordinance, election, and legislative matter, but I'll call for a committee meeting next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Blair.
Reporting for City Property and Claims Committee for Councilman Reynolds. We have no business this evening. Request a committee meeting next week at the appropriate time.
Perfect. Thank you.
And reporting for Public Safety Emergency Management. I have 2 motions this evening. From the docket of October 22nd, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $15,000 from account 112410000-5783000 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 121010000-530101 Police Professional Service due to the pending retirement of a sergeant, and we'll need to backfill.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any
We-
comments?
We discussed it at length, I believe, last week in committee.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required. We begin with Counselor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
President Perico.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I said yes.
Oh.
I know, it's kind of sexy, isn't it?
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of October 22nd, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $6,199 from account 1124100-5783000, reserve fund for transfer to the following: $3,700 to account 1210100-532012 Police Academy tuition, $1,000 to account 1210100-558310 Police uniforms, $1,499 to account 1210100-530104 Police Medical Consultation.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any comments?
We discussed it last week in committee.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Counsel Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Perica?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes,
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you.
I have no other business this evening for public safety, emergency management. We rest the committee meeting next week at the appropriate time.
Great, thank you. There is no old business. There's one item of new business, and for that, I would recognize Counsel Conti.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to refer the following matter to the appropriate committee for study and recommendation. Motion to alter Attleboro City Ordinance 9-28.1 to include a new last sentence. Quote, "Every application for a new pole or relocated pole shall be subject to approval of the municipal council following a public hearing and prior notice to abutters within 300 feet, the cost to be borne by the applicant."
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional questions or comments? Counsel?
Very briefly, Mr. President, I'm trying to clean up the issue at Green Drive, and more work needs to be done on this by the committee that you assign it to through the city solicitor, and I believe we're very close to resolving this issue forever in the future. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. All in favor, to the committee after. My little notes are gone here. It's been a long day. Any other questions or comments? Do I have to roll call vote, Steve? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes, and we'll assign that to Ordinance, Elections, and Legislative Matters Committee. And Councilor Holmes, will you send this to the solicitor ASAP to get her feedback ASAP? Because as polls come along, we want to make sure that we're notifying the neighborhoods probably likely more than we need to from a regulation perspective, but I want to make sure that we're doing it right. Councilor Conti?
In that, if I may, through the chair to Councilor Holmes. Councilor Holmes, the Massachusetts General Law states that the city clerk is responsible for generating the abutters list and mailing it out through certified mail. And I would like to not put that onus on his department, but rather have the applicant do it. But that's not the way the law is written. So the question to the city solicitor is, can we alter the Massachusetts General Law so that the applicant has to generate and certify the abutters list, mail out to the abutters list, so the procedure will follow what we currently do for the planning board and the zoning board.
Yep, and just so I can be one smidge clearer, we did not adopt the MGL that Council Conti's referring to. So we want to either adopt that, or we want to make revision to what, as Council Conti presented this evening. So that's really the question. If we were to adopt the MGL, what's the implication? If we were to do our own ordinance, how do we go about that, and what's the implication?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned 7:42.
Nice job,
Luck
Mr.
tonight,
President.
everybody.
Thank you.
Good luck, everybody.
Yeah, thanks.
Steve is already working with one person less than his department than he's supposed to have.
It was,